Anything can happen in the playoffs, but it is time. Do or die, win or go home. And it all starts Saturday with the Bombers in Montreal to face the Alouettes. Calgary and BC over on the east side to see who goes to Regina to face the West Division champion Rough Riders. Of course, Bombers Alouettes winner will go to Hamilton to face the East Division champion Ticats. But it all comes down to this. Welcome inside GameDay Winnipeg. This is your live Blue Bombers pregame show. We've got your live postgame show after the East semifinal on Saturday. Darrin Bauming joined by the one and only legend, Chris Walby. Chris, before we get into the Blue Bombers and the Alouettes rosters, depth charts, keynotes and storylines, including Nick Dembski, who will be a game time decision. We'll talk about the offense, Collaros, Oliveira, Hogan, the offensive line, the Blue Bombers defense against an incredible talent in Davis Alexander, who will make his playoff debut. We'll talk about Trey Vavel, the CFL awards. We'll have your keys to the game. First, your thoughts on this matchup and what Winnipeg's chances really are playing the underdog for the first time since 2019.
Underdog. You know what? I just think it's one of those things right now when you're looking at the team. It's not, you just want to get there, and they have a great opportunity. They crossed over the first team since, I think, from what I understand, 2019. First time for the Bombers anyway. But I think that Winnipeg will be okay. They rested a lot of guys last week, 10 guys. They're back in lineup, so there's no excuses. So we're going to see if that one-game rust turns into a reward. I think it will. I think that it's going to be tough, though. You're in enemy territory with the Alouettes and Davis, who is funny. You talk about Davis, but, you know, he's 11-0 as a starter. But 8 of those wins are against sub-500 teams. So I don't want to, take some of the shine off his star, but he is, you know what I mean? He has some rather, if he didn't beat the BC Lions or the Calgary Stampeders or the Bombers 8 in a row. But is he good? Yes. I listened to his conversation this morning, press conference. He was talking about, hey, bring the pressure, bring it. I love it. He feeds off it. And you can see he's one of those high energy guys, the way he talks. He's got an aura about him. A young guy who's really done well, and he is the key to that team. There's no doubt about it. I don't think they can get there with MGT or McLeod Bethel Thompson, as they like to call him. And, obviously Shea Patterson hasn't played a throw to pass.
Well, it's going to be Davis Alexander all day, right? Incredible talent.
No doubt.
Yeah,
they were at it. They had some issues. Now I don't want to get into all that, but they had some issues of who was going to play because Stevie Scott, their big running back, was hurt. Tice is out. He's a guy they nominated for Rookie of the Year. He's out. But Stevie Scott Sims, he was out last game. But he's
Sean
back
Thomas
right now.
Irvington's going to get the start at running back.
Yeah. I mean, he can play. He's pretty good, man, when he wants to, when he stays healthy. But I got to do one thing before we start.
Yes, sir.
One thing. Little shout out, boys. World Series, let's do it Friday night. This is the sweater from 93. And you can't see it. Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. There, I'm hiding my face, which is a good thing.
Here, move
World
to the left
Series
a little
champs
bit.
tonight.
Yeah.
It's what?
Well, I was just saying, move to the left a little bit because your microphone was in front of that Jays logo. That's a beauty, though. Look at that.
Yeah, so I got it from my my father-in-law years ago, and I tell you what, unbelievable, just unbelievable. I love the sweater. I only bring it out now.
Yeah,
I mean, this is 93, so think about it. It's got a couple of years on it, man.
Well, they called the Toronto Blue Jays in 2025 the comeback kids. That's what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers essentially will need to be road warriors and go to work away from Princess Auto Stadium. This is the first time the Bombers have been an underdog in the playoffs since 2019 and that Grey Cup game in Calgary where Andrew Harris went off. That was the big FU game where he came away with all the hardware after a tumultuous season for him. But the Bombers, I think, can relish in being that underdog and make things happen. One of the things about being an underdog, though, Chris, is that you get described, if you come out victorious, as a warrior. Now, for years during your time as a television broadcaster, you had Walby's Warrior. We continued that tradition on TSN Radio as you, myself, and Troy Westwood did pre and post game there for many years. This is our 11th season, you and I working together. Would love to know your Walby's Warrior for the entirety of the 2025 season before we continue to tee up this playoff matchup. And by the way, great to see everybody in the live chat. Who is your Walby's Warrior for 2025? Hit that live chat and we'll see how yours measures up against the man, the myth, the legend in Chris Walby.
Well, I got to tell you what, the guy that I picked, the guy I loved watching is the guy that got cut by Edmonton. We picked him up, and he's done nothing but get stronger every week. And I got to tell you, the guy that I love the most on this team, and it's not because of stats, because a Warrior has to be more. He has to be sacrifice his body. You know, he's got to give it everything. I mean, it's about the team. There's no I in team. There is in win. Mm-hmm. And so without further ado, I think my Warrior for 2025 is a guy that I thought, I talked about this last show, should have been out for defensive player of the Bombers. Mm-hmm. And that is Mr. Tony Jones.
Yes, sir.
I think he's had an outstanding year, 100 tackles, 102, a couple sacks, a couple interceptions. He's all over the football field. I think he's a huge, huge key in this game, not only the ones he played in, but this one coming up with the playoff game against Montreal in a very crazy stadium where they had to ban the horns. You don't think they're going to bring the horns out tomorrow? I do. Somebody will sneak them in. But, so without further ado, I say that my Warrior of 2025 is Mr. Tony Jones.
I love it. I thought he got robbed in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers team award nominees. It was Evan Holm as their most outstanding defensive player. We're going to get into all of those awards. Who's coming out of the West and will represent the West, and who will represent the East at the 2025 CFL Awards right here in Winnipeg during Grey Cup week. Of course, Bonfire Sports will be there, so subscribe if you haven't. Hit that thumbs up right now. Would be great. As well, but stay tuned throughout the playoffs and Grey Cup week as we get into all that. And of course, Trey Vavel probably going to come home with some hardware. Great pick for your Walby's Warrior. I love it. Let's get right to the task at hand, and that is the playoff picture. Montreal hosting Winnipeg in the East as the Bombers become the first crossover team in half a decade. Calgary traveling to BC to face Nathan Rourke, probably the MOP favorite in the West semifinal. Winner of that game will go to Regina, as I mentioned. Winner of Bombers Alouettes will go to Hamilton. Chris, I think the most important thing to touch on is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offense. I see Zach Collaros as the ultimate X factor because of his playoff experience, because of his pedigree, because of his accomplishments and championship resume. A lot of people criticize his play in the playoffs versus the regular season. Well, maybe he had that regular season to forget in 2025, and he flips the script and has an outstanding playoff run. Brady Oliveira, the offensive line, and maybe most notably, Jason Hogan. And what it'll take this Blue Bombers offense to get a victory on Saturday.
Well, for me, if you go backwards and talk about Hogan first, I think that it's consistency and execution. I know it sounds simple, but you got to stay on the football field. You don't want to leave, going 2 out, and allow your defense to be put it on their backs to win this football game. I agree with you, Brady. Brady had a great game against Montreal the last time, not the 1910 game, because he didn't play either did Zach. And actually, Zach might have had one of his best games ever in that victory earlier in the year against Montreal, when he was an outstanding 27-31 with a touchdown, no turnovers. And Brady had over 200 yards of receiving and rushing yards, 130-something yards rushing. And that to me, and I don't want to even get into the key, but that is a key. Because of the fact that they've got to establish the ground game. This old lineman has to play well. It's funny, they're dressing, Montreal's dressing a guy that is a disruptor. Much like Willie Jefferson for us, they're dressing Sean Lemon. Sean Lemon, whenever it comes down to payday or big games, playoff games, he's a presence. And he's lined up as a backup behind the wall, 𝘎𝙥𝙤𝙧𝙨 right there, but he is a one-man destruction. He always plays well. And then you got Isaac Ademi Berglund on the other side, who second in the league in sacks with 11.
All-star, yeah.
All-star, and the guy. Now, you talked about this off show, and you're right. A guy I really like is Mustafa. He's not playing, but they got big 6'9" Sean Oakman in the middle.
Another
and
all-star.
This guy's got he's, you know what? It's not like, he's an all-star, but also he gets after the quarterback. They don't count pressures. And I wish we did, because that would take some of the heat off guys that don't have a lot of sack totals. But he's got 6 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, or 6 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He's got about 34 tackles. He's there. That's great stats for interior linemen. I mean, we all know that Dylan Wynn, the guy opposite him, who used to play for Hamilton, he's a gamer too. So
their defensive front is scary, Chris. Winnipeg's O-line has their work cut out for them.
And they've got a hell of a linebacking crew. I think that, you know what, if this guy played on my team, he might be the warrior, and that's Tyrese Beverett. I mean, 7 sacks, 4 interceptions, a ton of tackles. He's all around the football. He's going to have a big game. And then, of course, the guy that keeps winning, doesn't matter what league he is in Darnell Sankey, number 1, always around the ball. He sniffs out those big plays. And he got Najee Murray, the outside. Now, don't get fooled by Najee Murray. I mean, he's not a big name, maybe like the other 2 guys there, but he makes plays. Yeah, he's got a couple sacks, a bunch of tackles, a couple interceptions. Noel Thorpe, the defense coordinator for the Alouettes, loves to get his linebackers involved often and early. You don't think he's going to bring the pressure? He's going to put so much pressure on Zach, because he knows if he can hit Zach. Can you win with Terry Wilson if something happens to Zach? I don't think so.
No, probably not.
I'm just saying that. So Zach is the and you said it, he is the X factor, and I agree with you. I think he will be the X factors. If Zach goes well, we go well.
Wesley Sutton also named a East Division All-Star, Marc-Antoine Duquois, not an All-Star, but an outstanding, rangy physical safety. Manning the back end of the Alouettes defense. It'll come down to Winnipeg's offense, and maybe most notably in talking about the Blue Bombers offense is the fact that Nick Dembski is a game time decision. He injured his hamstring just a couple weeks ago. Gavin Cobb is the one who got work in at their one closed practice this week. But, on the point we were touching on, Bryant, Wallace, Kolinkowski, Neufeld, Kendall Randolph, Tui Ellie, Michael Chris Ike at fullback, the receivers, even Brady Oliveira in pass protection. It's going to be so important for those guys to step up and stop this very vaunted defensive front run by defensive coordinator Noel Thorpe and the Montreal Alouettes. I want to go single cam for this, okay? This is very important. Nick Dembski is a game time decision. I would be absolutely shocked if he played on Saturday. The Bombers held one open practice this week, and in that practice, obvious to me that Nick Dembski is not mobile, not ready to run, and hamstrings take 4 weeks minimum.
Yeah.
It would be foolhardy. It would be stupid, frankly. And I'm speculating, of course. I'm not a doctor. I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But it would be stupid to dress Nick Dembski in this game. Ensure that he is closer to health so he can actually help and play at that West Division All-Star status. 5th time he was named a Division All-Star, by the way. For an East final game, for a Grey Cup game, they're going to have to get this win in Montreal without Nick Dembski, unfortunately.
I agree with everything you just said there. I think that as a player, you want to be there. So I think, the fact that they made him a game time decision, I think that's just basically print on a roster or on a
little
depth
respect.
chart here.
Little respect.
A little
That's all it
respect.
is.
Now, also knowing Dembski, maybe he says, you know what, let's give it till Saturday. I mean, it's tomorrow though. It's not, and like you said, only have 1 practice or 2 practice. He hasn't done anything. He doesn't need to. That's Coach O'Shea's philosophy. They know the offense. But I agree with you wholeheartedly, and it's not very often I do, big fella. But I'm going to tell you right now, I do think 𝘽𝙤𝙧 to play now, to risk injuries, if they get past Montreal and have to go into Hamilton, you'd rather have a healthy 𝘽𝙬𝙧 than a beat up 𝘽𝙬𝙧 who might even further injure himself.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Before we get into the rest of the storylines, the Blue Bombers defense, maybe a little bit more on Jason Hogan and play calling around Brady Oliveira and the Bombers offense limiting Davis Alexander. The Bombers defense, Jason Hogan. We'll talk about Trey Vavel and the X factor he can be. Getting to your CFL All-Star selections that were released this week, as well as who's up for the MO awards, most outstanding awards at the CFL awards upcoming during Grey Cup week. Before we do that, have to mention our very good friends at the Silver Heights Restaurant. Have you been to the Heights? They've got legendary ribs and just unbelievably tasty steaks right here in Winnipeg. Hit the Heights in sunny St. James. The Silver Heights Restaurant and Lounge serves up your favorites. Mouth-watering seafood, hearty Canadian classics, cozy vibes, and a family-run Winnipeg institution since 1957. Yes, 1957. Dine-in, takeout, delivery, free parking, a great beer selection in the Lounge, which is Winnipeg's original sports bar. 1957. You can watch the Jets, the Bombers, NFL, and more on their monster big screen and multiple TVs. Open late, Silver Heights Restaurant, 2169 Portage Avenue, just west of Assiniboine Park. You can order, book online, and find more at SilverHeightsRestaurant.ca. There's JC, there's Tony, the third generation. You go see those guys and tell them the Bonfire boys sent you. Tradition tastes great. Go check them out at the Heights. You might even see some Blue Bombers alumni up there. You'll definitely see this being 𝘽𝙤𝙧𝙯 Way, which I always think is super fun when you go to the Silver Heights Restaurant. That might be the original sign, like plucked right off the street. Here, can I bring that back? Look at that. You see that right under the Stiegel? That right there? You know what that is?
Yeah.
That's the bracket to go on the post. That's the real one, autographed by 𝘽𝙤𝙧𝙯 as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's the original, but I think it's pretty dang close.
It is. I might be incriminating them, but they told me it's okay to say that. That's the real sign.
That's cool, though. I mean, I know they can make replicas, and, I think it's great to have that and honor a great player who is not only great for the Winnipeg franchise, but CFL and in general. And I like what he does on TSN. I like him on TSN. He's one of those guys that, he won't be a homer. If he thinks the Bombers are going to have a hard time, he'll tell you that. And I love that. You got to have honest opinions out there. And, sometimes I get a little peed off because I got to watch, and it seems like the game is secondary to who dresses the best, and drives me freaking nuts.
Well, people get mad when Milt wears a green tie because, he's cheering for the Riders. Like, give me a break. Ridiculous.
Well, no, I agree with you. It's stupid. But anyway.
Sorry, Tamsin. No costumes. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Oh, that's right. It's Halloween.
Well, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Walby's hosting the show today. He's dressed up as DB, and I'm dressed up as I'm dressed up as DB, and that guy over there looks like Walby. That's actually Darrin.
What's funny, Darrin?
We dressed up as each other.
Darrin, I'm on painkillers, and you sound like you're on painkillers.
There you go.
You're all over the place. You're all over the place, man. Holy, give your head a whack. Let's go. My God, son.
Well, speaking of giving a head a whack, the Montreal Alouettes offense will face a Blue Bombers defense that has been very, very good this year. I think it's safe to say, Chris, that the Bombers defense is the best of their three phases in 2025. And that's, of course, with someone like Trey Vavel, who can break a game wide open at the kick of a ball. Demario Houston, Dietrich Nichols, robbed. Cam Allen, Evan Holm, most outstanding defensive player in 2025 for the Bombers. Jamal Parker. This is a really nice looking, healthy defensive secondary. Reda Kramdi there as well, maybe robbed in all-star voting. He was my number 2 behind Derek Moncrief of the Calgary Stampeders. Here is Kyrie Wilson and the man who we were talking about, Tony Jones. It's going to be a big game for him. The last time he played the Alouettes, 11 defensive tackles and 1 interception, was number 2 in the CFL in defensive plays in 2025. robbed. And then, of course, that defensive front, veteran James Vaughters, veteran Willie Jefferson, Cameron Lawson, Jake Thomas, Jamal Woods are all healthy and in. This Bombers defense, Chris, frankly, has not been more healthy than it is right now, and at the best time when you're going up against a quarterback that was undefeated in 2025 in Davis Alexander.
He only played 8 games. I mean, I understand he's still 8-0 carried over last year, but
and 4 300-yard passing games. But you mentioned,
he can beat you with his legs. He can beat you with his arm. Yeah, he likes to run. Doesn't run a lot, but when he does, he's got some spark in him. He can get around that corner. It's interesting. Listen to his press conference again. As I mentioned earlier, I listened to it. He was talking about Willie Jefferson. And we all know what Willie did in the Grey Cup last year. Could have been the MVP of the Grey Cup, even though in a losing cause. I thought he had a killer game. But it's funny when you listen to Davis Alexander talk about Willie. He goes, I think Willie's game has changed a bit. It seems like he's content to stay on the line and knock down passes. I thought that's a really strange comment from a quarterback talking about an opposing defensive end who is basically a game changer and can be a one-man wrecking crew. So we'll see what that is about. They're obviously, they've scouted him. And I think for them to win, I would chip him a lot. I'd put a back on him. I'd hit him a couple times. I don't want to get him a free run. Now we'll have to see if Jordan Younger moves him around. I know we're getting on this Jefferson, but I think he's that kind of guy that can take charge of a game and really impact the outcome of that game. For me, I'd put Willie all over the place. I'd put him in a guard like they did before. I'd put him over to the center. I'd move him around so everybody could get a sweet taste of number 5. Yeah. So we all could look at the film and go, wow.
Let's hear a little bit from Davis Alexander speaking to the media this week.
Hey, there you go.
Something that we do, every single week. Obviously, it has more meaning to it because there is no, you can't get that play back and hey, we'll just learn from it and get to it next week. There is no next week if you don't do what you're supposed to do. But I love it. I mean, put all the pressure on. I don't care. Let's go win the game.
And what was your reaction when you found out that you guys were going to play Winnipeg? After the result of the Sask BC game.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I think we wanted more than anything to get back at Winnipeg. They beat us last time we played, 19-10, right? We're kind of a team that we feel like we kind of thrive off of, maybe being doubted a little bit, or, maybe they're coming in a little confident after beating us 19-10. Cool, let's do it again. Let's go play at home.
You personally haven't seen Winnipeg yet this season. Do you feel that as an advantage for yourself? How do you view your first chance at them, and it's in a must-win game?
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think it could be both beneficial and a disadvantage. I was happy to be at the game at least and kind of see what they were doing and just see their attitude, see what they want to come play with. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm sure they're excited too, and let's go best on best.
Obviously, the locker isn't the same and the roster isn't the same, but is there some kind of unfinished business in this team regarding all the way the playoffs ended last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but honestly, we're not too concerned about last year. I think at this point, we're kind of past that. We're hungry, and we just want to give ourselves the best opportunity. We know what we have on our roster. We're a confident group, and it's time to show it.
Going back to Winnipeg, you haven't faced them except for half of the game last year.
So there's Davis Alexander. I'm going to go back to it. Here he is talking.
They got a pretty good front four. They're gonna probably try and apply a little bit of pressure to me, maybe get me off some reads. Obviously, Willie's a fantastic shot blocker. Half the time that's all that he tries to do, which is it's a great strategy for him. We're gonna find a way around it. We're not gonna let him dictate the game. We should be all right.
T'es un peu surpris de te voir aujourd'hui parce qu'on t'a vu ces lignes de côté, pas de stretching.
So before we cut away there to Sean Thomas Erlington getting some questions in French, there was Davis Alexander talking about that pass rush and not wanting it to dictate what the Alouettes do. Chris, 16 years in the Canadian Football League as a right tackle and perennial all-star offensive lineman. Is there anything different, whether it's scheme, game plan, effort level, energy, whatever, when it comes to the playoffs and what happens in the trenches?
Well, I think the game, it's funny because you get jacked up and you're in the huddle and you're in the hallways and you're waiting to come on that football field. You've had your warm-ups, you're coming back on, you know it's for real, the lights kick on, and it's a do or die situation. It's one of those situations that is really hard to explain, but it's like there's no sense not leaving and it's not like they're not leaving everything on the field every game. But when you got in the back of your mind that I look around and see these guys and I go, there's my locker room buddies. If we don't win, we're going home. It's over. And the next time we'll see a lot of us, we'll be in training camp. So, I mean, you really want to go out there and just say, you know what? And we used to play the game, and I said this last year with you, you know what? On an offense, let's do 15 good plays a quarter. Gives us 60 plays. And if we're successful, the majority of them, we got a great shot at coming out with a win. And I think that's what you got to do. I think that Zach has to be Zach of old. Not that he's old, but he has to be Zach of old. Smart decisions with the football and utilize the weapons who he has. And I think the one weapon that he's got to use, we talk about in every game, and that's Brady. Brady ran the ball like a man possessed last time they played Montreal. 130-something yards of rushing, another 73 or 74 passing. He does a lot of checkdowns. You're going to see a lot of checkdowns. What do I mean by that is Zach will come out, nothing down the field, he throw it to his check man, and that's usually Brady who picks up 8 or 9 yards, keeps the drive alive, and they move the football down the football field. Staying on the field will be paramount for the Bombers. And keeping Zach healthy.
Yep.
Because the last game they played, not against Montreal, he didn't play against Montreal, but the game before that, there was a season ender against Saskatchewan, I believe, and he took a whipping. He got hit more than I've seen him all year, and he can't do that. You cannot let him get whacked up like that where he finds out, like, you know what, starts making calls or he rushes his pass, doesn't set his feet. You picked up sometimes when he throws off his back foot, it affects his accuracy, and he's just got to make smart decisions. And if I'm Hogan, put him in situations where they can be successful.
Yeah.
You don't have, I mean, I always say this as an offensive guy, just as a lineman, I love the fact that a quarterback will throw a deep ball right away. Maybe to Ontario Wilson, maybe to, Kirk Wheatfall, whoever, but stretch that defense. Put a little bit of fear in their back end that we can go deep. Don't let Montreal play the game in front of them. You got to make them turn their backs, turn their hips, and chase a little bit. That's, to me, it's huge. And you do that, you'll have an opportunity where the middle will open up a little bit, and you got a great opportunity. The Bombers have a good offense. Listen, I think their stats are really reflective of the fact that Zach didn't play a number of games. I think the stats are affected by the fact Terry Wilson played last week. And that's not to say negative, but he was 11 of 21. Nothing is going to jump out and bite you in the ass. You know what I mean? So I think the stats can really be deceiving when you look at them because you got to take it game by game and who is playing at that particular time. So, I mean, I just think the Bombers have a great shot. But, boy, you know what? When you're in Montreal and everybody knows what it's like to play in Montreal, and they went 2 days early, which I thought was great, you got to get out of the gate early. Get out of the gate early. And that'll help quiet that crowd down a little bit. And I think you really got to go after Davis Alexander. You look at him, he's a thick. You know who he reminds me of? Brett Favre. The square jaw, big, thick shoulders.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were talking and doing that thing, I looked up at he's only 6 feet, 210 pounds. I thought he was bigger just by the look at him. Maybe it's just the angle of the camera.
Yeah.
But I do know this. You could see the enthusiasm and the confidence oozing out of him.
Yeah, he's a gamer. He just has a competitive level. Zach Collaros talked about that this week. Very impressed with Davis Alexander's compete. Now, a lot of people joining us from Winnipeg Sports Talk. Welcome. This is GameDay Winnipeg on Bonfire Sports, your live Bombers pregame show. Myself, Darrin Bauming, and the legend, Canadian Football Hall of Famer, Blue Bombers Ring of Honor, number 1. And number 63 in your program, number 1 in your heart, Chris Walby. Asking about Nick Dembski, Dembski is a game time decision. I want to be clear, and I touched on this earlier in the show. I would be shocked if Nick Dembski plays on Saturday. He suffered a hamstring injury just a couple weeks ago, was at practice this week. He's still not able to run. So it would be foolhardy, kind of stupid, frankly, if the Bombers or Nick Dembski had him play this week. They need him closer to 100% for an East final, a Grey Cup on home turf. He's just not close enough to be able to play. Something else, that depth chart is interesting. Joey Corcoran over Kevin Sklercius. I think we're going to see a lot of both of these guys. It'll be Gavin Cobb, the University of Manitoba product, who will start in place of Nick Dembski. But I think, to your point, Chris, it's going to be very important for Winnipeg to play clean football, whatever play is called by Jason Hogan. And that's something very hard for us to analyze, as he's a first-year offensive coordinator. This will be his first playoff game calling plays. How much Jarius Jackson is involved in those decisions in game, during the prep week, whatever, in game planning and scheming. But whatever happens, Collaros needs to make good decisions. The Bombers need to play ball security football, and needs to be bully ball time. The Bombers social media team was even tweeting about it this week. It's time for bully ball possession of the ball. If you keep it in the Blue Bombers' hands, in Zach Collaros' hands, in Brady Oliveira's hands, it's not going to be in Davis Alexander's hands. 8-0 this year, 4 of those 8 wins, 8 starts. He had 300 plus yards passing. He is dangerous, but it's going to be Winnipeg's offense that's going to win or lose them the game on Saturday.
Well, I think that another thing, and one of the great comments, and again, thank you for all the guys online here coming on. I don't know if it was waiters who put it in there, but somebody said, what about giving Chris Ike the ball a couple of times? And I agree with you on that. I know he chucked off a big run before. He's a different look, a different type runner. He'd run over you rather than around you. He's got some good feet, man. So, I mean, I like the changeup. That's a great comment by, I think it was waiters, who said, you know what, let's give another opportunity to another guy that they're not expecting to cover the ball. I would not be surprised to see them run a screen to Chris Michael Ike tomorrow. Because if you let Brady go out one side, he attracts, bees to honey. I'm going to use a nice term. And so you slide the other guy out, you put him on the other side. They're going, that's why he doesn't got any, he hasn't got one catch all year. So, I mean, that's a nice thing. I think it's like misdirection and trying to fool that defense, keep them on their toes. Because these guys can run. Najee Murray and Tyrese Beverett, the outside linebackers, they can run. Sankey's more of a bang you up and make you pay for it. Yeah. But I think that, it's important to you. You always talk about to me about this. Do we use our entire playbook? Yes, you use your entire playbook. But I also say this, for the Bombers, utilize your entire weaponry. You know what? If they're covering Ontario, maybe Joey Cochran has the game of his life. Do you know what I mean? Maybe Kevin Sklercius has the game of his life.
Gavin Cobb has speed to burn. Maybe he can break a big play here and there.
You know what? Exactly. You can't go in there and go, okay, it's like when they go with Hamilton. You hear a lot about who? Kenny Lawler. Who's coming on now? Tim White. I mean, they've got weapons. I think you got to spread the ball around. And I know when the Bombers are very successful, that Zach has gone around 5 to 6 receivers. He's got the ball. He's distributed the ball all over the place. And I think it's huge for them to do that tomorrow in Montreal and allow them so they can't, because you know what they're going to do. What's number one task for Montreal? Stop Brady, the run game. Yeah. That's the number one thing. They got to take away the run game and force Zach to pass. Now that's what I'm saying. You got to utilize, this is where offensive coordinator Hogan, he could be Hogan's hero or Hogan's zero, depending on the game. He's got to make some calls up here to take advantage of that pass rush. Because I can promise you this, these guys in Montreal are pinning their ears back because they know I don't have to be in their meeting room. We don't get to Zach, we don't win the game. Simple.
Well, because you got to get to Zach
Odds are
to
not
limit
our
Brady,
favor.
right? Because if you don't put pressure
Well,
on the
yeah,
quarterback, they're just going to run the ball
yeah.
all game long.
That's exactly what it is. But they've got to put it. But they have to do smart. You can't give away your keys early. That's the same thing I'll say this about the Bombers. Davis Alexander kid, he's smarter than he should be for what he's played. He reads defenses really quick. So do not line up in a formation that gives it away. You know, for those of you who follow a lot of football, you'll see a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll run a slot back across the field behind the quarterback and to see if somebody's chasing to determine whether it's zone or are they going man coverage. And that's the coolest thing to watch. The game within the game, you know, coordinator versus coordinator. So, you know, to me, it's, you know, we just got to watch this battle. Noel Thurp's been around a long time. He's a great defense coordinator. As a matter of fact, I think he might be one of the guys up for the vacancy in Ottawa. But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves because about this game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Look, it's going to come down to, like we mentioned, ball security, protecting the quarterbacks. Zach Collaros, a lot has been said about, you know, well, he hasn't, you know, been super efficient in the playoffs or in Grey Cup games. And they're, you know, his teams are winning despite him. Plain and simple, if a quarterback doesn't have to throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in order to be a winning quarterback in the playoffs. Collaros is 7-1 in the playoffs in his career, going up against a quarterback that has never played a playoff game. How valuable is that? Just that experience that Collaros has versus the guy that's going to be running everything for Montreal in Davis Alexander.
Huge. You can't buy experience. You cannot buy it. You need to have somebody who's been there before, understands the pressures, has the ability to, as they say, the experience factor of reading defenses, understand that they watch so much game film all week. And, you know, part of it that really helps Winnipeg in my eyes is because Montreal had to bring almost their entire starting roster in that 1910 loss. Yes, they did not play Davis Alexander. They played McLeod Bethel Thompson, who is not Davis Alexander. I understand that. But other than that, they're going to see what they try to run. What were their bread and butter place that week? Because, listen, we talk a lot about Montreal's defense, but Montreal's offense, buddy, they got some playmakers. You know, when you're talking about Charleston Rambo, their favorite guy, Tyler Sneed, who's got 8 catches over 30-plus yards this year.
All-star.
And then you got the guy they got, and then they got the guy on the other side who just got back from the NFL, Austin Mack. And you got a guy that basically slapped us in the nether regions last year, in Tyson Phillips, who had that big catch to win the, you know, the Philpott, to win the Grey Cup last year. So, yeah.
And
they got some
James
weapons,
Letcher
brother.
Jr. as their returner comes in on offense as well. You see him there on the left side of the depth chart. He is, you know, an absolute burner who could make things happen as well. Yeah, Scott is listed as their top running back, but I'm expecting to see a lot of Sean Thomas Erlington as the Canadian getting the carries. But Speaker, Mack, Philpott, Sneed, Rambo, Letcher, this is a dangerous group, and a big reason why Davis Alexander has had 4 300-yard passing games in 8 starts in 2025. I think Davis Alexander would be in the MOP conversation, maybe even the front runner, the favorite, had he stayed healthy this year. It was a hamstring injury that he sustained early in the year that kept him out for a few games. I would say they rushed him back, and then he hurt his hamstring again. Was a big reason why he played 8 games and not 18. But he is healthy and has been healthy for a few weeks now and ready to go. It's going to be fascinating to see how these two teams match up. Jordan Younger's defense against Alexander and the Als, Noel Thorpe's defense against Collaros, Oliveira, and Jason Hogan's offense with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Chris, before we get into your keys to the game and what we will need to see for a Blue Bombers victory on Saturday, big thanks to Jazzroy for the super chat. $5. Thank you. He says, love from Michigan. Let's go Bombers. Thanks for all you do, DB. Hey, and everything I do is reflective of everything you contribute to the show. Chris Walby, as well as 𝘎𝙤𝙧𝙚, who will join me as he always does for live post-game coverage here on the channel. We're going to have video highlights of the game. Bombers play at 1:00 Winnipeg time. The Winnipeg Jets play the Pittsburgh Penguins at 2:00. I'm going to be covering that game for NHL.com, but we will have a post-game show. So if it's not on the air right after the game, as it usually is here on Bonfire Sports, it will be up. You will have post-game coverage here with video highlights. Unlike anything you see, frankly, on YouTube in the Canadian Football League, right here on Bonfire Sports and Game Day After Dark. Here with myself and 𝘎𝙤𝙧𝙚. Chris, Winnipeg has not been the underdog for a long, long time in the CFL playoffs. 2019, when they had to win in Calgary, in Saskatchewan, and then in Calgary again as the road underdog against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They were able to be road warriors and win in 2019, end that 28 season Grey Cup drought. And then they've been favorites since. This game opened as a 4.5-point favorite for the Alouettes. It's now 6.5, 7 at a lot of sports books. Those numbers often just more are an indication of where the money is going and why that line is changing from 4.5 to 6.5, 7. Regardless, most people are expecting the Alouettes to win. What will it take for Winnipeg to come away with a victory and punch their ticket to the East Final in Hamilton?
Well, it's some of the things we talked about earlier: offense, execution, protect the football. Defense, disguise your formations. Disguise your blitzes and pressure Alexander. Special teams, win the field position battle. I mean, I think that, Vavo, we'll have to see what he does. I mean, the guy's got 4 return touchdowns, but as you mentioned, and quite astutely, they have got James Fletcher Jr. back, and he is a burner for Montreal. So you're going to put everybody you can in the lineup. You're going to use everything you possibly can to take out a game, because if you don't win tomorrow, it's garbage day the next day. And garbage day is when they all get their little green garbage bags and they got to empty out their locker and have that wind up, which is horse shit if it isn't a Grey Cup wind up. So it really is. I mean, it's just sad because your guys will be hugging. See you later, man. Keep in touch. And unfortunately, the sad part about this business is no teams are as the same the next year. There's always change. And this is, you said this last week to me, Darrin, during the show. Do you think there'll be more changes this year? And I say, depending on the outcome of the playoffs, I think there'll be more, could possibly be more. We have one of the older teams, a lot of veterans, which I love. That was Cal Murphy's thought process as well. Veterans get you there, rookies cost you games. So, yeah, I just think it's got the makings of a good thing. And I think everybody loves it because it's playoffs. It's playoffs, do or die. As a fan, you get excited. You can't say, crap. Well, we'll get them next week. Next week, we'll fix our mistakes. No. You make a big mistake in this game, that's like putting a spike, into a vampire's heart. If I would, oh, Jesus, there you go.
I like that little Halloween reference from.
I never thought about that, but you're right.
Like
I have a Halloween candy, but I've been eating too much of it.
You've been eating too? Is that why your throat's a little raspy today?
I'm on them Smarties and the Kit Kat bars, man. And I like those things, but it's not too much sugar. Is not good for you either. No. But I figured I'd have some because I want to wake up because of your show, Darrin Bauming.
Right.
Because you bring out the worst in me, my friend.
Hey, real quickly, want to mention the CFL Division All-Star teams were announced this week. A couple Bombers, Nathan Rourke, not a Bomber, but a no-brainer for West Division All-Star quarterback. Bo Levi Mitchell in the East. Dedrick Mills and Greg Bell are the West and East nominees at running back. Nick Dembski and Kenny Lawler. Keon Hatcher and Tyler Snead of the Alouettes. Keyshawn Johnson. I think he's the best receiver in the CFL today. Keandre Smith. Dante Myers, Eugene Lewis, Justin McInnes, and Justin Hardy are your division all-star receivers. Going west and east here, of course. Furland and Lawrence at center. Zach Williams, the pride of Transcona, and Brandon Revenberg, who's up for most outstanding offensive lineman at guard. Jacob Brammer and Pierre-Olivier Lestage of the Alouettes. And then on offensive tackle, old friend Jamarcus Hardrick up for most outstanding offensive lineman in the CFL. Quentin Barrow. And then Jarrell Broxton, who I think is as good as Jamarcus Hardrick, is the West Division battle. Tackle.
There's your battle.
Nick Callender in the East.
The issue is now, who do you go? Because they can't go west-west. That's one of the things that I don't agree with about the awards, because
I'm lobbying the Football Reporters of Canada as an executive member of the FRC. I'm lobbying to change some of this, because if your two best running backs are in the same division, one of them is not going to be an all-star that year, which is a shame, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing I look at. Broxton, the tackle from BC's had an outstanding year.
Yeah.
But I said this last week. My vote, if I had a vote, would be for Jamarcus Hardrick. I think he's been that and everything else. The Hardrick hop, he's brought that enthusiasm to Saskatchewan. I think he's a hell of a gentleman and an excellent football player. And I think that he's due. And, it's funny because when I met him in the parking lot when his son was playing at Eastside Eagles here, and he came up to me and said, "Hey, nice to meet you." He came up and I went, "Wow." And I just turned to the wife at the time. I said, "Watch this guy. A couple of years, he's going to be the best in the league." We're going to see if that fruition comes true on awards night at the Region Center here in Winnipeg. But he's had a great day. Then you got Zach Williams. You'd love to see these guys from Manitoba getting recognized, playing very good football. Congratulations, Zach. Congratulations to all the nominees.
Here are your defensive division all-stars: Matthew Betts and Clarence Hicks, Jalen Hutchings and Micah Johnson on the D-line in the West. In the East, Isaac Adeyemi Berglund, who will be getting after the Bombers' offensive line, along with Sean Oakman. On Saturday, Julian Hauser and Casey Sales of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, our old friend Casey Sales, former Bomber, representing the East. Linebackers in the West, Tony Jones and Jameer Thurman. In the East, Tyrese Beverett and Darnell Sankey, both of the Alouettes. Your cover linebackers, CJ Rivas. Very, it could have been Reddick Ramsey. It could have been Derek Moncrief at cover linebacker, but CJ Rivas played a little safety as well for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Darius Pickett, I don't know, he might be the best defender in the CFL today, representing the East. At corner and halfback in the West, Tavon Campbell and Roland Milligan from the Roughriders. Evan Holm and Adrian Green in the West. Over in the East, Jamal Peters, Tavares McFadden, Deshaun Amos, and Wesley Sutton of the Alouettes. West nominee at safety, Damon Webb, who was a corner for the Red Blacks last season. You remember he had a great play on Zach Collaros to help them win a game. Stavros Katsatonis of the Ticats representing safety in the East. And then your division all-star kickers, Sean White and Liram Hajrullahu. I don't know. White was like 96%, but had no field goals over 50. So maybe Sergio got jobbed a little bit there. Mark Vassett, easily the best punter in the CFL. Joseph Zema of the Alouettes in the East. And then Trey Vabel and Tyrell Richards representing at returner, or I should say special teams. Tyrell Richards.
Let's just look at that.
Leading the league in tackles. You were talking about him last week, Chris.
I think that was that the rookie that we were talking about there? Or no, that was Canadian.
It was special teams. Yeah,
sorry.
I'll pull up the awards here. Yeah, go ahead.
Pull up that, because I think that I think Vavel's going to win one, but I think
he's up against Liram Hajrullahu for most outstanding special teams player. I think he'll win that one. Most outstanding rookie, Devin Garrison.
You think Trey will win?
I do.
Okay, he's got 4, but I mean Liram Hajrullahu set a record for most over 50 kicks made. Set a record for most kicks made.
Yep.
I mean, that's a tough
and
one.
Trey Vavel broke a bunch of records too for most kick.
Yes.
The longest missed field goal return in CFL history. It'll soon be next year will be the last year of that. So he's probably going to go down in history as the longest ever. And his combined return yards, I think, set a CFL record this
Oh no,
year.
and like I said, it's one of those things again where it's sad. You're gonna have two guys who had outstanding years that comes down to one walking away with the hardware, and yet you look at the year that 𝘎𝙤𝙣𝙧𝙚 had. I think he could win both. He definitely could win both. Vavel, I'm talking about. The kid out of Hamilton's a heck of a ball player, but he missed a couple games. And then again, if you want to factor this in, I went back and looked what Vavel did against Montreal in returns. He only had one kick return for 7 yards, and that was their first time they met with Winnipeg and Montreal. So,
I think Vavel will win most outstanding special teams player and most outstanding rookie, simply because he won games for his team this season. I know 𝘎𝙤𝙧𝙚 did too, but Trey Vavel was just incredible. It is most outstanding. That's why I think Vavel will win it. Devin Veresuk was the starting middle linebacker for the Hamilton Tiger Cats this year. As a rookie, that's incredible. Most outstanding offensive lineman, Jamarcus Hardrick versus Brandon Revenberg. I think it'll be Hardrick more than anything, Chris, because Hardrick plays tackle and Revenberg is a guard. I don't know how you feel about that. I'll get your thoughts in 1 second. Nathan Rourke is going to be the most outstanding Canadian and the most outstanding player. I think he'll edge out Bo Levi Mitchell and run away with it against Isaac Adeyemi Berglund. Most outstanding defensive player, Betts versus Hauser. I don't even, all due respect to those guys. Betts led the league in sacks. Hauser, just an absolute force on the Hamilton Tiger Cats defensive line. Kind of can play inside, outside, do everything. He's incredible. But all due respect to those guys, I don't even know. Those aren't my MO DPs. Those aren't my most outstanding defensive players. I think it's a Darius Pickett. I think it's Tony Jones from the East and the West, respectively. But, that's how the voting goes, for these awards. So,
yeah, I agree with you on that. But, there's another guy I remember I was reading about BC and 𝘎𝙤𝙧, the big Samoan they have in the middle. He didn't get the nod, and they're just, the whole team went crazy. Hutchings out of Calgary, I agree with. He made an all-star. That guy's tough. But, Daddy, hot toddy for my voice. Thank you, Phyllis. Yeah, I'm losing. I think I'm just hitting puberty. That's what I think. I'll have to go to the bathroom and check, but pretty sure.
Yeah. So we'll see how those awards shake out. Again, Bonfire Sports will be at the CFL Awards. Myself, Zach Schnitzer will be there. Not just the postgame show, but we're going to go to the CFL Awards. I'm going to get Schnitzy to take his jersey off for a moment during Grey Cup week, put on his professional tie, and go to the CFL Awards. So we'll break things down there. But Bonfire Sports is going to be all over Grey Cup week, no matter who's in the game. Hopefully the Blue Bombers are there. I think it'll be great for the fans if they are. Can you imagine a Bombers Riders Grey Cup in Winnipeg? That would be insane, Chris.
Yeah, they got great fans. We got great fans. Obviously, we sell a number of sellouts, 14 in a row, I believe now.
Insane.
At Memphis Auto, it's great to see the fans really embrace the team. And you know what? I think that I'm really praying the Bombers bring it together tomorrow, because I don't want the year to end on that one note, right? But again, it's one game at a time. You can't look past them to play Hamilton.
Yeah.
You got to take care of the business at hand, and that's Montreal. In Montreal, who they're 4-5 at home. They're not great, but Bombers are 3-6 on the road, not great either. So when I look at all the matchups, I'm looking at Montreal's number one against the pass. Number one against the pass. And the Bombers are number 9 pass. They've only, passed for an average of 235. You got to look at these matchups. Montreal, number one, tied with BC for most sacks at 45. They're number one forced fumbles, 17. It's just they create turnovers. And, they're +8 in a turnover ratio, which is plus and minuses. And the Bombers are -11. And you have to come out of that on a positive TO or turnovers tomorrow to win. You lose a turnover battle, it's over.
No question.
Bye, babe. Bye
No
bye,
question.
sweet caress. Drop
bef-
off your laundry and put on your what? Never mind.
Oh yeah. Those Smarties you're taking are kicking in now, Chris. Can I ask you before we go? Comet had a
Yeah.
great question. Always great to see Comet at the Jets games as we walk in security. Could it be the last game of the Kyle Walters, Mike O'Shea era in Winnipeg? I don't think so. I think they're going to keep the band together.
It's funny you say that because there was somebody, I read an article, it might have been out of the Ottawa, whatever newspapers out there, one of the reporters, and they said, wouldn't it be interesting if they threw some money at Coach O'Shea and tried to entice him to go to Ottawa and build something there?
How much money are you going to give him? Because
the problem is,
there's a coaching salary cap.
Well, it wouldn't happen because of one reason.
Oh, Paulie got you a lucky logger there, Bluto. DB, check your July super chats, but someone called Blue Crossover Win East beat Sass to win the cup in the visitor room, says Paulie.
Why?
But thanks to the super chat, $20 for some Chris Walby lucky loggers in his Halloween treat bag.
Yes, you betcha, my friend. But I just wanted, you were talking about, so what were you talking about just before that? Before they got on the Smarties and all the lucky beer. You threw my mind
we were talking about turnovers, limiting
turnovers. Yeah. I think that's, the Bombers, if they can stay away from that ugly, that asterisk, I think they have a great shot to win this football game. But boy, I tell you, they've got to, because you look at, like I said, when I was doing those things, right? We don't throw the ball effectively, but don't let that's because Zach was out a number of games. Strebler started a few games. Terry Wilson had an opportunity to play. They're not all on Zach. I think if Zach played an entire healthy year, we wouldn't be looking at that stat. I just think, when I look at it, when I look at the experience factor of a Zach Collaros, his ability to read pre-snap, he is the one thing that's twisting my mind to say the Bombers can win this football game. He really is. And if he plays like he can, I just think the Bombers are very strong defensively. They can take away some of the things, but I don't know what he's doing there.
I think I had you muted there. He's growing a little beard. You think he was having some blueberry pie?
Yeah.
Maybe just a little playoff beard?
Playoff beard, just like hockey, right?
Yeah. Well, on that note, Chris, a prediction for the East semifinal on Saturday, as people will watch that game live coast to coast on TSN and then tune in a little bit later than normal, but it will be happening. A live post-game show, Game Day After Dark here on Bonfire Sports with video highlights. What's it going to, do you have a prediction? You've told us what it's going to take for a Bombers win. You got a prediction with them being a touchdown underdog?
Yeah. I think that, in the last couple, I think about when we lost to Toronto, got the last minute field goal blocked. When we lost to Montreal, they got Tyson Philpott in the Grey Cup game with a great catch to basically win that game for him. I think that it's going to come down to this time, a huge kick by Sergio Castillo that wins the game for the Bombers.
Love it.
I don't get in the score, but I just think Sergio is going to be the guy.
Okay. I would love to see that. Do I think Winnipeg will win? Everybody knows. You've been following my work for 15 years covering this team. I call it like I see it. I cover this team objectively. I don't think Winnipeg will win. That said, it would not shock me in any way. If there is a team that can be the underdog and win, it's an experienced team like the Blue Bombers. Experienced quarterback, experienced defense, experienced head coach, and outside of Jason Hogan, experienced coordinators, winning coaches, experienced winning players. They have what it takes to win. I think it'll be a close game.
I'll tell you
Montreal,
what,
they're favored for a reason. I think Montreal will win, but I think Winnipeg can win.
I think there's a guy, hockey hooligan 57. Hooligan. And hooligan. I'm going to tell you right now, I think he's right. And that's a very key point that Zach might have to do some things. He might have to tuck the ball and do a little bit of running to extend plays. But for the love of all things holy,
there it is.
Slide.
Yeah.
Stay safe. You can't afford to take a shot to the head. Your melon can't, your melon can only take so many. Ask me. My melon's all messed up. So.
You still got that squishy spot on the side of your head?
Yeah. You mean where the stem was?
Yeah, pumpkin head.
No, you're very funny there.
Happy Halloween, Chris. I hope you have a great one. Enjoy the
game.
You too, brother. On Saturday. I know you'll be watching Game Day After Dark here on Bonfire Sports after the game. And I'll leave it to you to send us off. Of course, big thanks to the Silver Heights Restaurant. Everybody in the live chat, hit that thumbs up. If you haven't, subscribe. We got coverage of this CFL season, the playoffs, the Grey Cup, and the Winnipeg Jets here on the channel. So hit those buttons if you can. We appreciate that a lot. But I'll let you sign things off as the Bombers get set to be road warriors in the 2025 CFL playoffs.
Well, you know, one of the biggest thing for me is the Bombers. I just think they got to play great football. And it's, hello, Grey Cup, here I come. But I want to sing the whole song. And I'll do that if they go to Hamilton. I'll write a little poem.
Nice.
A little poetry. But right now, my voice is like, seriously, it's like I'm singing through a bowl of macaroni salad. It ain't good. So thank you, Phyllis, who has said I'll make you a hot toddy. God bless you, my dear. And yeah, I might even have one. I won't be having any colon loggies. Maybe tomorrow I'll sneak a couple.
Maybe tomorrow.
But other than that, DB, go Bombers, win this damn game. I don't want this to be the last broadcast of the year.
Amen.
And let's enjoy it. And welcome the boys when they come back and extend it for at least another week in Hamilton. And that, as they say, is a wrap. So goodbye, Mr. Oh, see, already I can tell. So how do you take muscle relaxants? Oh, my God. My body's like a big bowl of jelly right now. Oh, I'm just like all over the place.
Well, it's Halloween, not Christmas. I know you got the white beard and the big bowl of jelly, right?
Yeah. Right. Oh, that's funny. Now you're funny, man. Now you're funny, man.
Well, you are a
all right, man.
Just not Nicholas.
God bless you guys. God bless everybody on the broadcast and in the comment section. Have a great day. Happy Halloween. Let your kids have some fun out there. Maybe we should post a couple of the pictures next week.
I think
get
so.
Some pictures of kids coming to your house. They don't come to your house, do they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You still give them apples or what?
Toothbrushes. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that evil.
Perhaps you should use one yourself, my friend.
Yeah.
All right. I got to go because I'm starting to ache again. So, bye-bye. Love you all. Adios.